hopefully at the end here, you'll have a better understanding of desktop server and how to fit into your workflow for you. And every presentation I've seen for desktop server or developing locally comes down to cowboy coding, which is, my definition is the practice of making any change to a theme, plugin, or code to a live site that you've not tested elsewhere. And then there's a lot of reasons why it's bad to do. So one of the big ones is you don't want to break a live site, especially if it's a client site. It's easy to make mistakes, syntax errors, forget a semicolon somewhere. You can run into incompatibility between themes and plugins for new versions of WordPress or a plugin. Every time you hit that update button, you really know what's going to happen. When you're first starting out, you kind of don't, but and then it will eventually bite you. I think it bites everyone eventually. So. The advantages of creating a local development environment are it's great for beginners, it's safe, it allows you to explore in a sandbox environment. You learn more when you can break things without ramifications. It's great to try out new themes and plugins. You minimize that risk for screwing up a live site. It's fast. In the long run, it will really save you time because you're not waiting for the internet every time you hit save a file, hit refresh, stuff like that. If you've got a slow internet connection or a bad hosting provider, it can also save you time. Excuse me, I had bad cold the last few weeks, so I'm going to lose my voice. No search engines is a big one because you don't run the risk of getting your site indexed before it's ready, or if you've got a duplicate copy of a client's content out there, you don't want that to be indexed on Google and show up with that content. Backups is another big reason, because what good are backups if they don't work? Because it's really not about the backup, it's about restore. So it gives you an ability to restore backup locally before we deploy them to a live site. And it gives you a way to test out your backups, make sure they work. If anyone has questions as we go along, just stop me. So this comes down to what is desktop server? And we lost it.
Yeah. Well, try jiggling that cord. Yeah, give it a second.
So it comes down to what is desktop server? And desktop server is an app that allows you to create a local development WordPress environment on your Mac or desktop on your PC. You can acquire it from serverpress.com. It's cross-platform, runs on Mac and Windows. There's a limited free version and a premium version that's $99 a year. For yearly renewals, it's like $75, so it's 25% discount. The limited version allows you to install 3 local websites on your system. The premium version, you get unlimited sites plus a lot of added functionality. So we'll go into a lot of that functionality here. It's great for beginners and advanced developers. And how does it work? Here we go.
Does not like
Didn't even touch it.
Yeah, it's finicky.
And how does it work? And this is more for the advanced people probably, but Desktop Server provides a WordPress manager that sits on top of XAMPP, which provides the web server environment, which is Apache, MySQL, PHP. So people hear MAMP or WAMP running on Mac or Windows. XAMPP is a cross-platform version of AMP, basically. So Desktop Server basically packages XAMPP with Desktop Server, so you don't have to install it separately. But I kind of want you guys to know how it works behind the scenes. So. And then Desktop Server's best features. These are really the things that I think make this product stand out. It's easy to use. It's fast. You can literally spin up a new website in seconds. First few times it might take a few minutes, but after that, it's very quick. Blueprints are probably the best feature. You can automate installs by creating WordPress templates, continue favorite themes, plugins, settings, license keys. You can export and archive your local sites to create a new blueprint. And the way I'll describe this is a lot of people use starter themes, like you use Beaver Builder, stuff like that. You could build basically a website that has all your stuff in it, all your license keys, all the plugins you always use, save it off, and the next time you want a new website, just just click install, and it's all set up ready to go for us. Desktop server plugins are unique plugins that are add-on functionality that you can enable as you need them. There's an open API behind it, so you could create your own. Desktop server is supposed to have a new version 4.0 coming out in the near future, and they keep rolling out these plugins that have new functionality, so you can test them out and try things. And I'll demo some of those as we go through it. And then these are the two big ones, which import from live site. So you can import a live site into desktop server using a number of various backup plugins. Duplicator's a free one. You can use Backup Buddy, Backup WordPress, Invent WP, and Manage WP. I'm going to demonstrate Duplicator, and we'll try and bring down a live site to local here. And then deploy to a live site. So there's a way you can develop locally and then just push your entire site out to a live server somewhere. And there's two ways built in. One's called direct deploy, one's called quick deploy. And they really do the very same thing, just doing a different method. Direct deploy works with most hosting providers. Quick deploy is a backup method. The way I'll describe this is you basically install a plugin on your live site and your local site, and then direct deploy creates a direct connection, transfers your site, builds an archive, then packs it and builds a new site for you. The backup method is you create an archive, you FTP it up or SFTP it up, run a script, unpack it, and build a new site. Any questions so far? I'm probably going through this way fast. So additional info, this is one thing I just want you to be aware of, is desktop server when deploying using those two methods, quick deploy and direct deploy, you can't just update part of a website. You can't do one plugin, one page, one post. It will replace your entire website, the database, everything. So just want you to be aware of that. So I consider it destructive. There are a couple other tools out there that are kind of new I want to mention. WP SiteSync is a new product from the same people that make desktop server. And it has a way you can just push pages and posts individually. I've not tested it. I don't know if you have Seth or anyone else. Mm-hmm. And then WP Migrate DB Pro is another good product for doing site migrations with the entire database. So just other things to look at. And do a demo. Anyone have any questions first? Okay.
If you want to move the database, will you need one of those other tools like WP Migrate DB?
The direct deploy and quick deploy will move the database. They say you can do it individually as well. You just want to move the database but not track that.
Okay. So the direct deploy, you have a site that you want to update, that'll pull the database from that site? Let me go backwards. Import from live, where you do a backup. You'll do a backup using one of these other plugins if you want to pull something down from a live site. And those will basically take all your files and the database and bring it in. Okay, so the method to sync down to your local machine is different than
a direct deploy and quick deploy, yep. It's separate. There are some workflows out there. Carrie Dills is one person I follow. She's got workflows using that the other product, the WP Migrate DB Pro, where she actually uses that product to just pull down the database and stuff like that as well. And she takes it both ways using one tool. So
Sure.
There's a good blog post out there on that tool and using desktop server. Anything else? Do a demo. So get a fresh install of desktop server here. I'm gonna show you a couple of slides first. Sorry. Should have this in the first part. These are kind of the files and places that the way this thing's configured is. There's a config file. If you need to make any configuration settings to your desktop server config, by default it uses like the Safari web browser. If you wanted to use Chrome, you have to go in and modify a config file, which is located in the user shared.com or .com server press desktop JSON file. So Just want you to know that file exists out there. Your default website folder is going to be under your Documents Websites folder as we create new websites here. Everything gets installed under the Applications XAMPP folder, and there's a Blueprints folder where you can create blueprints, and a plugins folder as well. So that's kind of the directory structure, how this tool works. So fire up DesktopServer here, I just installed it. It's a fresh install. It's a pretty plain interface. You basically restart with privileges, so you need administration privileges, which I'll go through here and do. And this is the main interface. So it's asking, do you want to start Apache MySQL services, which we'll do. These are these plugins that I mentioned that have added functionality. And I've not used all these things. Airplane mode kind of works like a phone's airplane mode, where if you have a poor internet connection or you don't want your site making calls out to the internet, you can turn that on and basically block out communication. Bypass login's a really cool one, which I'm going to demo for you guys. Basically, if you pull down a live site to your local, you don't have to know all the administrator passwords. You can log in up to the first 100 users by just clicking a button. So you don't have to know like all your clients' passwords or anything. And then when you get it, when it takes time to push your site back to live, none of that functionality goes back, so you don't have to worry about any security vulnerabilities. So it's really cool. Cleaning for it, I tested and it didn't look quite right for me, so I don't know if I did it wrong. But there's a support page out on our website that explains all these. I'm just going to turn on a couple. I'm going to turn on local admin color bar.
What does Dreamweaver support do?
Basically, if you use Dreamweaver, you can integrate your development environment as far as like a text editor and use Dreamweaver for that. Same for Coda. There is one on their support page. They've got a blog post on doing PHP Storm. Doesn't say it's integrated, but there are some ways to use that, which I didn't use that tool. I've not used all these. I can't tell you what all of them do. Coda supports the same way as Dreamweaver if you use the Coda interface, Coda text editor. DSCLI is basically a command line tool. I don't know what to deploy. I'm gonna demo admin color bar, which basically on the top of your WordPress interface, you always have that one color at the top. This basically allows you, it comes with a blue color bar, so if you've got a live site up and a demo site, you know which one's which, so you aren't getting confused. It's kind of cool, and you can actually change the colors if you want. So. And then the random database prefix. When you install a WordPress, you usually put in a prefix. It's usually WP_. So this basically does a random prefix on the front of that for more security. When you push the site live, it just changes that for you. So fire this up. So you come back to this interface. Basically, the first thing we're going to try and do is create a new website, development website. All your websites locally, and all your websites are going to be named .dev. So everything local is .dev, and they change your host file basically to take care of that for you. Your blueprints folder is basically where you play your packages from. So basically the way this came, it came with 4.7.0.zip when I downloaded it last time. I downloaded the new WordPress 4.7.2 from WordPress.org. I added it to the blueprints folder. I just took the zip file, and then it shows up in your list. So anytime you add anything to that blueprints folder, you need to restart. So just be aware of that. And I've got a starter blueprint in there built this afternoon with Genesis, so I'm just going to demo that too as we go along. Okay, we're just going to pick a default WordPress install. It's showing you where the site root is, so it's going to be under my documents, websites. It's going to be called www. I'm just going to take the www off the front of that. Make an example.dev. And we're going to hit And you can do multi-site with this if anyone uses it as WordPress multi-site. I've not used that, but it can support that. So here it's creating a new folder, virtual host. All your name entries here, it's creating the SQL database for you. It's not asking all those questions about your database stuff. It's just getting a random password, random user for your database, all that stuff. So it's out there. And we're gonna click next. And here it gives you a link to the install where you can go through and do your 5-minute WordPress install to set it up. We're just gonna click that. So here's the normal WordPress install. Just gonna call it example site. Demo admin. I'm going to use a really simple password for this just so it's easier to type throughout this demo. Don't do this at home. And give it my email. And we have a WordPress site set up ready to go. Takes you right into the admin interface. Here we can go visit the site. So it's up and going with the brand new WordPress install real quick. I'm going to go back to DesktopServer here. Once you install a site, this site's button down in the corner now shows up. So you can click that and it takes you basically out to localhost on your system. It gives you a list of every website you would install locally. And here you can click and visit your website as well. And here just demoed that admin color bar at the top. Notice it's blue. So you can kind of tell which one's your development environment, which one's your if you've got a duplicate site on the live site somewhere. You get your dashboard directly, just like we just did there. If you want to get into your dashboard. If you want to get out to your database, click the database tab, takes you to the database for it. Up to this side here, example, and then it's got a random string for your database. I use that prefix plugin, so it added an XWF as a prefix for your database, so when you push this to live, it isn't just WP underscore. So it's a good security feature. Up at the top, I want to show you guys that if you need to get your MySQL administrator through here, you can do that as well, or PHP info tab if you ever need to get out and find out info about your database, anything like that, your setup, all that stuff's out there, easy to get to. That's kind of how you set up a live site, real quick. Keep going if you've got questions at this point or anything. Okay. Let's do a blueprint site. So I'm going to take a blueprint I created earlier today, and I'll just install that real quick just to show you how a blueprint works. So I'm going to create a new development website, and rather than clicking just WordPress, I'm going to click Genesis here, Starter Blueprint. So this is a website I set up this afternoon with Genesis, another theme. I've added like Gravity Forms plugin to it. I didn't configure or anything, but it's just all there really quick. Just call this Genesis. Click and create. It's going to basically do the very same thing, but it's got all your stuff, all your settings in it. It just makes it a quick process. So if you're doing development all the time, you want to spin up a new site, you want to spin up a duplicate site, do something different with it. It's a great way.
So you set up that site, and then to get that zip, was that the backup part of it where you?
Yeah,
okay.
Basically earlier today, I set up a site, I did an archive, saved a zip file, I added it to the blueprints folder, and then it's there the next time I want it. So the one thing you run into is, like if there's a new version of WordPress that comes out or your theme changed, you're going to have to go through and update those things as well. But it's a great way to just get up and going quick.
Cool.
It's going to go through this really quick here. We'll just do that.
We lost you.
And it lost.
Yeah.
website's up and going. Basically, I go into my themes here. It's going to show that I've got Genesis loaded in a Parallax Pro Genesis theme. By default, it enables the 2017 one. If I go into my plugins here, it's going to show that I've already installed a bunch of plugins. So I've got Backup Buddy, Viral Gallery, Gravity Forms. You could have all those pre-configured. You can go in and, it's a good way to do all your settings. Then you go through and you change your time zones. You do your permalinks, stuff like that, so you can have it all pre-configured in there for you. So go into permalinks and, it's already what I clicked on earlier. So that's a great way of doing it. So I like to demo taking a live site and pulling it down.
Okay.
So let's see. Earlier today, I just have another live site out there called DabbleTech, DABLTEK.com. It's hosted on SiteGround, and it's just basically a fresh install as well here. So this is just a fresh install there. There's really nothing special about it. Install plugins, it's pretty bare. I added Loginizer to prevent logins to the site. I did install the duplicator plugin. Do people know how to install plugins and everything, or should I show you how to install duplicator? Or is everyone good with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Duplicator is just basically a free backup plugin that's available out there. So if you just search for duplicator, all I did is did an install of it. And then